Hello everyone. Today I am here in this sacred place to share with you about holiness based on the book called Introduction to the Devout Life by St. Francis de Sales. So let me say what actually devout life is. Devout life means holiness. In this book, St. Francis de Sales emphasizes on holiness. He tells us that holiness is obtained not only by those people who withdraw themselves from the affair of the world, but it is obtained by everyone, by the laity who are engaged in the daily duties. You know, God created us to know Him, to love Him, to serve Him, and to be with Him after our earthly journey. But can we be with Him when we are in the state of sin? No, right? That's why 1 Peter chapter 1 verse 16 says, "Be holy, for I am holy." St. Francis de Sales tells us that holiness is about loving God above all things, but most often we forget this. He also tells us that holiness is a radical living of the Beatitudes. As Mathew chapter 5 verse 3 says, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." So, being poor in spirit and heart is called holiness. And later we find in verse 3, in verse 4, knowing how to mourn with others is called holiness. But we can do all these things when we love God above all things, with all our heart, with all our souls, and with all our strength. So, this love is not just a feeling, it is a commitment to live our life virtuously. St. Francis de Sales tells us that, or encourages us to accept humiliations, sufferings, not for the sake of others, but only for the love of God. Even Pope Francis also calls us to holiness in today's world. But can everyone be holy? Yes, everyone can be holy. As St. Francis de Sales tells us, holiness is not reserved for a few selected people. It is for everyone, beginning from children, adults, youth, parents, and so on. And you know, there are so many in the church who have gained sanctity from a very young age, like Dominic Savio, Blessed Laura Vicuña, and the three children of Fatima, Lucy, Jacinta, and Francisco. St. Francis de Sales also tells us that holiness is not about avoiding the world, but engaging with it. And the best epitome I can give you is that, Carlo Acutis, who soon will be canonized. We can find our holiness in our work, relationships, and the challenges that we face. Challenges, it sounds strange, right? But we can find holiness in our challenges also when we offer to God and ask for His help. Francis de Sales also emphasizes to go for prayer and to the sacrament through which we gain sanctity and the grace to be sanctified. So, my dear Philothea, let us not be afraid to become holy. Let us make every effort to come closer to God and gain sanctity. And you know that every step that we make towards God is holiness. And do you know that the biggest tragedy we can have in life is not to become holy? As it is said, call to holiness is call to happiness. So, wherever we are, whatever we do, let us strive for this perfection. As Mathew chapter 5 verse 48 says, "Be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect." And 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 verse 7 says, "For God did not call us into impurity, but in holiness." So, if you want to be holy, I only recommend you to read this book called Introduction to the Devout Life, because after reading this, it has changed my life, and I pray and hope it also will do it to you. Thank you for being patient in listening to me, and I wish you have a nice day. Thank you.